All right, guys. I'm not famous either, dude. Not yet. Maybe. I got like, dude. Hey, I got like I think 40 followers, dude. Like 2 of those. You know, there's always like the stripper followers. All right. Well, anyway, I'm not famous. Hey, but guys, I gotta talk to you about some. I gotta go to talk about the G stuff. Grace, baby. Okay. Now here's the thing, dude. I gotta keep this brief. All right, I'm going to tell you something. Let me just turn this off. I might even just burn my seat. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go black. I'm going to go black. I'm going to show you guys something. I got to tell you to Google something. I know you're going to be like, dude, if this guy tells me to Google one more thing, why doesn't he just find an editor? I'm like, dude, just, I need a little bit of effort. Meet me halfway, bitches. Come on, meet me halfway. All right, you need to Google this guy, Brennan Manning. Brennan Manning. He's one of my favorite people. He wrote a book or 2 or 10, and I think he's passed away, and you know, and he wrote a book called The Ragamuffin Gospel. I think that's right, and also some of his stuff on YouTube is amazing, and he's one of those guys that I don't know, like it's just he's just amazing, and in fact he does one of these. You just gotta just Google Brennan Manning and watch this guy. He's brilliant. He's brilliant. And like everybody, he's not perfect, dude. You know, and it pisses me off how, like, all right, dude. I'm just, you know, it just pisses me off how some Christians treat other Christians, Brennan Manning. I'm gonna totally steal this here from him. This kind of reminded me of Brennan Manning. If you just see that, I'm at a golf course outside of La Jolla. You know, this is it's a different type of nature lover here, you know, to each their own. You know, I'm more of kind of a wild, like, give me a Durango, give me the surf, baby. And you know, there's a different type of cowboy, and I'm more of an Indian. And there's cowboys and there's Indians, and I've always kind of suspected that. But you know, Brennan Manning kind of solidified. There's a video that he does on YouTube where he talks about the 2 camps of Christians, and it's one of those where he's talking to some people, and it's not edited, it's not polished, it's not TMZ, it's not holla shakala, but it's one of the most, you know, I would say probably the top 10 things I've seen in the last I don't know, 5 years. You know, sometimes I think when you're wanting personal growth or you're wanting to evolve, you just need to kind of go, dude, okay, you need to just find someone that you really like and really respect and say, you know, tell me the last 5 things that have changed your brain. You know, there's books that change your brain. There's people that change your brain, and in a good way. And, you know, we're meant to do faith, and we're in community, and we're meant to grow. You know, we're meant to live in community. So, for example, Brennan Manning, I've never met him. I read his book. He has a book called Ruthless Trust, and I'll tell you at another time why I'm still pissed off at that book. But it's one of the best, worst books I've ever read in my life, because it's the best book because it talks about ruthless trust, and it's the worst book because it says at the very end, I'm like trying to learn how to do trust. You know, I'm one of those, like, you know, legalistic, you know, background guys. Like, let me tell me how to do it. Tell me how to do it. You know, how do I earn it? You know, I mean, let's pretend Psalms 23 does not say, you know, not for me earning it, but for His name's sake. And let's forget, but a lot of people try to earn God's love and God's favor and His. And so there's the earn crowd, and you know, the legalists and the prodigal son. You know, when he was running home, he's like, dude, let me just earn it. And the father's like, dude, you're not gonna earn shit. Here's a ring of relationship, and we don't get that. So. Anyway, Brennan Manning was talking about this. There's 2 types of Christians. There's the Indians and there's the cowboys, and he is just so eloquent. And I'll have to find it and I'll post it. It's just one of those. Just you got to watch it. So, anyway, this kind of reminded me this scene, and you know, I'm kind of out here, and let me just show you what I'm talking about for you golf lovers, because I sort of make fun of golf lovers. Let me just be honest with you guys. I'm not gonna front. In fact, golf lover, I like golf, but after about 9 holes, I kind of get, you know, and I think I like golf. I just don't like the golfer. You know, there's kind of that certain Dallas Plano, fluorescent shirt, and here, here's the thing, and I hate to brag on Abilene Christian University, but because there's probably about 10 things that happen at Abilene Christian, but I happen to have a English professor. His name was Mr. Weathers. I think he became a doctor, and he was one of those cool guys. He didn't give a rat's chicken noodle about a title, and even after he got his PhD. And he made a point I was thinking about. Share that beautiful with you. Some of you golf lovers are like, it's so hard to be a golfer. Anyway, Tiger, if you're out there, dude, I'll be your life coach. All right, anyway, here you go. Mr. Weathers, Abilene Christian, he said this. He goes, you could tell a lot by people by the way they treat nature. So there's some people, they want to get up there in the wild, the Durango, where you're not in control. You're not in, and that's part of the fun. It's part of the fun to go hike in freshly driven snow in Durango, Colorado. It's so much fun because, well, 1 minute you're at maybe ankle deep snow, and the next minute, I've gone waist deep. And that's part of the fun. Of course, these guys, see, these are the people that piss me off. See, they're always wearing, that green fluorescent. They're just that golfer, dude. One of my good friends, he's a golfer, and he pisses me off. Anyway, so Dr. Weathers was talking about how some people, the way they view nature, and he said some people, they just, they only like nature when they can control it, when they can manicure it, when it's under their control. And it's still beautiful. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's still beautiful. There's a lot of relationships that are formed on those greens. There's a lot of, memories with friends and family. So I'm not trying to, just trying to say, look at nature and look at their certain camps that, they don't see the surf. They don't see something that they're out of control, that they're surfing, that they're learning how to move into the chaos and into the wildness. Some people are like, no, let me just come over here and make this almost overly controlled event. And that's what, you can even see what people do with nature or in nature and how they treat their gardens. And for some people, they, again, look at your own relationship with nature. And sometimes I think we chase the wrong thing. I think that's technically called the red herring. If I were given relationship advice, if for example, if I were a marriage counselor, or if I were helping a couple out that was kind of in a bad spot in their relationship or their marriage, I think I would just ask one question. I'd say, let's cut to the chase. Let's talk about the real deal. How's the sex? Because once you know how a couple's sex life is, then everything else kind of makes sense. It's just how's the sex. It's amazing how we'll just talk about everything. We'll talk about our stories, and we'll take Enneagram tests and Myers-Briggs test, and we'll just do everything. And just here's the deal. Got relationship problems? I feel bad for you, son. I got 99, but I don't get, you know what I'm talking about. There's another golfer pissing me off still. Same guy. Club car. Got to be nice to this guy. So how's the sex? That's the relationship. And then once you have enough courage to go there and then work through that, or in that sandbox, man, that's so much, So let's just say that you were having God problems. I feel bad for you, son. I got 99, but what I'm talking about. So if you have relationship with God problems, maybe you have spiritual problems, or, there are times that we need help. We need mentors. We need guidance. We need other people. Well, if you came to Fibonojji, I would ask you a few questions. I would say really, in fact, I'd give you an index card. And on one side I'd write mom, one side I'd write dad. Depending on if you were a bullshitter, if you were a cowboy, if you were a good old Indian, I would say on one card, I'd say, just give me 5 adjectives that describe your relationship with your mom. Just give me 5 adjectives that describe your relationship with your mom. And I would hope and pray that you would be really honest, and you would talk, and you would just, in your own way, write 5 adjectives that describe your relationship with your mom. And then on the other side, you do the same with your dad. Give me 5 adjectives that would describe your relationship with your dad. And then I would sit down with you, and then I would say, tell me 5 adjectives that describe your relationship with nature. How do you view it? If you said, well, I don't have a relationship with nature, then I'm like, well, then you don't have a relationship with God, really. If you say, well, kind of like golf, well, it's like, well, you like things very, very controlled. You like your nature, your wild, very, very manicured and controlled. And that's not wrong. There's Mary and there's Martha. There's the kitchen person, there's the kneeler. This is not about elevating one person over another. We already hear too much of that in the Christendom. That's the technical word. But I just want to show you another example because I'm so busy showing you Durango and La Jolla and surf and jagged rocks and, you know, my metaphors are on top of metaphors. There's ravens. Even Raven, dude. We'll learn more about ravens. I hear you. We're going to talk about you. I promise. All right. You need some love. Every raven needs a little bit of love. I hear you, baby. By the way, that's an interesting Google. The difference between a crow and a raven. Do you know the difference? Okay, I'll tell you. Okay, go Google that. Let me close this out. What's your relationship with nature? Give me 5 adjectives. You'll be amazed how those 5 adjectives are driving you. Or not driving you. Still beautiful. Still beautiful. So how would you describe golf? This is how I would do it. First of all, it's a very exclusive, in this case, very exclusive, very expensive event. And I don't think God is meant to be an exclusive event. I don't think it's meant to have exclusion. I don't think there's a lot of fences in nature. In fact, when they practice really going, they put those fences up really high. Whereas if you're from the Indian side, you kind of see it more like Woodstock. Like, dude, let's tear the fences down. The more the merrier. The more diverse, the better. And let's vibe to a song. And we're all singing to the song, dude. I walked in there and I'm kind of rocking this look. And I felt uncomfortable when I walked in there. You know, this is me. Not sure. Kind of watch it. See it? Got my hat. And this is just me. This is who I authentically am. And I walked in, I just felt uncomfortable because they're all in their little suits and their little hats and I felt uncomfortable. But again, this may just be the Indian, dude. This may just be the Raven. But I want to show it to you because when I was at Abilene Christian, one of the ways that I suffered, and it wasn't because that school was not a good school. One of the ways that I suffered the most at that school was I never saw me. I never heard me. There wasn't really any person really speaking to my essence, if you will. And so I felt like a lot of people feel, like a lot of Indians feel. I feel like I was alone. And then I felt like I needed to conform. So I tried really, really hard to conform. In fact, my story, my adjectives with my mom and my dad, I see that a lot. And then eventually you get alone with God and then you start saying, God, all right, it's your show. What do you want to do? What do you want me to talk about? Thy will be done, thy kingdom come, on earth as it is in heaven. Give me this day my daily bread. Forgive me my trespasses as I forgive those who trespass against me. And lead me not into temptation, but deliver me from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the glory, the power, forever and ever. Amen.